KFAN.
Started.
Donnie on the track.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole
This sounds
team.
like Lil Nas to me. Is something, right?
Drake.
Is there a Lil in any of these? As you look ahead, am I going to get any of these right? Is there a Lil? Lil Dipper?
Doesn't look like it.
Lil Dapper? Lil Dis, Lil Dat, emphasis lat. How about Lil Cross, the dresser? Is he in there? Emailer booth at KFAN.com sent this one when I was discussing finances with children for school and such. And he sends email and says, "Common, you ever heard the word no? I have 6 kids, and you get very comfortable saying that after a while. Last time I checked, you control their finances." And I do. Thanks, Jim, for the advice. And I do. There are times I say no, but not very often. I want to give and give and give till I give out. Anything I can give to my kids. For me, tend to be, it's, I don't know where you are. Faith, family. For me, it's fairways. For you, I think it's still face-offs. Maybe that's changing. But faith, family, fairways. And I can't say no to my kids when it comes to giving them. Life is tough enough when you finally are out on your own. Like, okay, you graduated from college. Time to go get a place and get a job and live like an adult. Right? You know, It's just real world out there. And it can be very tough going, tough sledding.
My whole goal in life is to give my children more than I received.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do. And, you know, I mean, you figure, Ohio State's like $35,000 a year. That's $140,000. What's the payment on that baby brother Peter would have to pay a month? What is it? How much do you think that is? $140,000.
Be a lot.
So I'd rather he not have that.
Yeah.
I can get by. I've been getting by my whole life, scratching and surviving. Good times. Easy credit ripoff. You know what I'm saying.
You just look at it as paying it forward.
That's how I'm paying it forward.
Baby brother Peter will be in a good spot when he leaves college, and then he can pay it forward to his children if he decides to have children someday.
That's exactly what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Well said, tend to be. 534 brought to you by Casey's.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Brought to you by Casey's General Store. Casey's, here for good. Question number 1.
VP Championship begins tomorrow at Oak Hill Country Club in Pittsford, New York, the suburb of Rochester. John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler are your co-favorites at 8-1. Common, what's your official prediction for the PGA Championship this weekend?
Well, it's difficult not to select Rahm or Scheffler or some of the other big names like Koepka, McIlroy. I'm hoping myself that one of the younger guys breaks through, like maybe Will Zalatoris. Remember when Rosen said Will Zalatoris, and then, well, sorry, Mark, but Will's out for the year with back issues. So Will not be the kid that breaks through. So how did it? Do you know how it went this morning? I did.
I listened,
and
actually, I watched it on the KFAN YouTube channel.
You watched radio people move their lips to say who they selected. Was it fascinating?
Well, Zach Halverson did a great job with the graphics, and he had a little spinning wheel.
Oh, okay.
You could watch who gets the next pick. So Rosen got the number 2 pick.
Let me guess. John Rahm.
Yes. Scotty Scheffler went 1. He got John Rahm at 2.
You know what? I bet the listeners are on the edge of their seat wondering who selected number 1.
Muss, I believe, if I remember correctly.
So they go, Muss, you're number 1, and people go, who would Muss take? Is he going to take Will Zalatoris? Maybe he'll take Sergio Garcia. Close circuit to Mark Rosen. Sergio's not playing this week. Maybe he'll take Xander Schauffele. Who knows? Maybe he'll even take Jason Day. No, he's going to take Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, and then Rosen 2, John Rahm. Let me guess. 3, Brooks. It was either Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, or Rory McIlroy.
I think Rory went 3, but I don't remember exactly. By the way, I watched today. I watched like a video flyover of every hole because I know you talked about yesterday just seeing some of the course, how beautiful it was. I knew the course was long because they made it longer than it used to be. These fairways are so darn narrow, and they have the rough looking like it's U.S. Open rough. I think the driver is very important this weekend. Very, very important, which is why my value bet is 30-1 shot Cameron Young.
Cameron Young?
I'm going Cam Young.
And can you explain why?
Just because he's got a long driver. He's been hitting well in recent tournaments, not to mention last 4 majors, 3 of those 4 majors, he's been in the top 7. But I think Dustin Johnson's got a good shot. Obviously, Rahm and Scheffler are going to be up there, but it's going to be someone who can drive the ball long and drive it in the fairway. Because if you don't, you're in trouble. I think these are going to be U.S. Open type scores.
Here's what I'll tell you.
This weekend.
This is regardless who wins, regardless what the winning score is, regardless of the weather. All I'm hoping is the network features Bryson DeChambeau hitting wild and crazy drives all over the golf course. I can see him getting out of difficult situations. That's what I look forward to.
What a fall for grace for him, by the way.
Yeah.
He's not even considered to be anywhere in contention anymore at any of these tournaments.
No. I'm going to go.
Sorry. Go ahead.
You wanted my pick.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were done.
I don't know. I'm just kind of glancing through that. Why don't I say, because I don't want, I'm going to try to be different. I'm not going to grab Scotty Scheffler or John Rahm. I'm going to go Rory McIlroy. No. You know who I think has a really good chance to win? I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Cam Smith.
Yeah?
Yeah, live player. I'm going to
just took second last week to Dustin Johnson in their live event.
You are correct. I'm going to go with Cam Smith.
Question number 2. NBA.
Nikola Jokic had 34 points, 21 rebounds, 14 assists as the Denver Nuggets beat the LA Lakers 132-126 in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Common, did you watch last night's game? And if so, your thoughts?
I was in and out, ducking in and out. The parts I saw, Joker was dominant. After a very slow start for street clothes, he was as good as he could be, wasn't he? I mean, didn't he end up scoring almost 40? I think he was in the 30s. Joker's just so well-rounded. He can do everything. He is, I don't know if they have the equivalent to a 5-tool player in the NBA. He obviously can score down low.
Yep.
He's strong. He's like a bull in a china shop. He's got great touch down low, too. You brought it up, I think it was last week. His footwork is unbelievable.
Yep.
He's so nimble.
For a guy that size.
Yeah, he's down there and he'll spin left, right, turn around, come up, do reverse layup stuff. He can pass brilliantly. I mean, he finds
which makes
guys,
double teaming him difficult.
That's exactly right. He can block shots. Defensively,
rebound. He's
a force and he can rebound. I guess he's the 5-tool player.
He's the Byron Buxton of the NBA is what you're saying.
You are correct. And, I was at the Eastridge function when they were honoring academic achievements, which Baby Brother Peter was a part of. And so I didn't see much of the first. I think I tuned in with a couple minutes to go in the first half. But the Lakers made 2 runs and they twice cut it to 3 late, but they just weren't able to get over the hump. It was Lakers. At least the Lakers served notice that it looked like they were going to get blown out. So they served notice. We're going to be here. That's their first loss in an opening game on the road in this playoffs this year, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So he's good. Joker's terrific.
The San Antonio Spurs won the NBA draft lottery last night, landing the number 1 pick, where they will likely select Victor Wembanyama. Common, my question for you, will Wembanyama follow in the footsteps of the 2 other big men number 1 picks for the Spurs, David Robinson and Tim Duncan?
Tim Duncan, the Admiral. And then David Robinson, Mr. Fundamental. I think so. They say about him that, it's the same review we see. It's sort of the same review you get for who's our big guy? Holmgren. The Chet Holmgren.
Yep.
Of course, this guy's supposed to be better than Holmgren. But the idea that
The frame kind of looks the same.
same frame, 7'3", can handle the ball like a point guard, shoot like a shooting guard, and play like a big man. Now, he's got to put some muscle on. Once you get to the NBA, it's going to be a bit different. He's been playing pro basketball, though, for 3 years. It just hasn't been to the level of the NBA. My guess is he'll be a star, you would think. It's hard to believe he won't. I mean, I trust the people that follow the NBA much more closely than I do, and everybody says it's can't miss. He's going to be a generational type ball player. As far as if you believe in conspiracy theories, we predicted it the other day. We said it would either be the Spurs or Houston, because Houston is a large market. And then just because the Spurs have had this rich tradition of basketball, someone even said, well, why would the league want a smaller market like San Antonio to be able to, because I think they're like somewhere in the 30s as far as market size. If they were trying to rig it, why would they want one of those? Well, because you got to mix it up a little bit.
Baby, you a song, you make me want to roll my windows down and cruise.
The 2023 Program Password Invitational Bracket has been announced, and the action begins Friday when Kevin Fallness and Nordo take on Muss and Kevin Gorg in the play-in game starting at 1:30. You can listen to all the action on the Fan and watch the action live at KFAN.com/watch.
For $243 million or even a quiet $1 million, as Marty Gellner once said. I couldn't tell you who this is. It sounds countrified to me.
It's like a country hip-hop mix. The country side of this is Florida Georgia Line,
okay.
And then Nelly is the rapper.
Nelly.
Yeah.
Name of the tune?
Cruise.
Are you sure it's not Booty Cruise? Is the name of the song Booty Cruise? I think the Bumper to Bumper a couple of years ago did a special edition out of season. Well, it was in season, but out of state fair season. Didn't they do like a T-shirt or a sweatshirt for the Twins Oktoberfest? Right? Do you remember that? You're not even listening, are you?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about with Oktoberfest.
With the Twins, they did a Twins-related T-shirt or sweatshirt about their home run breaking season.
I don't remember being Oktoberfest.
Something like that. Oktoberfest, Homerfest. I don't remember what it was.
The Dong Show.
There it goes.
Yeah.
That's it. So they were able to get permission from promotions to do that outside of state fair time, right? That was like, hey, okay. How about, let's see if we can get permission. I don't think we're as high on the pecking order. We probably will get denied for this. How about a T-shirt that says, we nasty? Because that's what Byron said last night. He said, we dangerous, we nasty. How about a T-shirt that just says, we nasty? And then you have a baseball there and say, Twins
colors.
Twins colors, that thing. What do you think's going to be?
I like it.
We nasty.
I'd wear it.
Let's see if, now what are the chances that will get approved by promotion?
Well, we're not the power trip of Barrero, so that increases our chances.
That's why I don't think we're gonna get it. But I think it sells. We nasty, Minnesota Twins. I got several of these emails after I said I really would rather the Lions don't win the.
So it was a Dong Show shirt that led into Dongtober hoodie.
Dongtober hoodie
for the playoff.
There you go. So I think we should do We Nasty. And then maybe we could couple that with the guy that PA has on and call We Nasty Draft Nasty. Brilliant. Who is that is Draft Nasty?
Corey Chavis, former Vikings.
So maybe we do
defensive back.
Draft Nasty, We Nasty. We get dumped in the first round. I got several when I said I'd rather the Kitties not win the whole thing. And people don't believe me. It's because they don't understand that I approach it different. I've been cured. There ain't no cure for the summertime blues. There ain't no cure for Avatar that we know of. But I've cured myself of caring if teams win or lose. We talked about it with the Cubs again. Cubs were just in town. Did I tell you that I was texting back and forth with Royce? Did I bring this up? Royce wrote a piece over the weekend. He had the same, when the Cubs were in town. He in his piece, he had the same theory I did. That when you have a team that hasn't won for decades and decades and decades, it's almost a badge of honor. And it's kind of like when you see another Cubs fan, you kind of go, lovable losers, wait till next year. That was always every year it was, wait till next year. And when the Cubs were making their run, first there was the Bartman one. They lost that World Series.
They did.
Not. Then they ended up winning, I don't know, it was 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whenever it was, 2015, 2016. And I warned Cubs fans then. I said, be careful what you wish for. Because to me, the allure of being a fan of that club is they haven't won the World Series since 1908. And I think since 1908, they were only in it one other time, and they lost to the Tigers in 45. So it's like, but once you won it all, and maybe there are Cubs fans out there that disagree with this. And Royce did an unscientific poll. He went to the game, and he ran into a few Cubs fans and asked them if they're, has it changed at all because you hadn't won for all those years and now you won? Do you wish you hadn't won? The handful of people he asked, no, love winning. And maybe most people would feel that way. Let's say the Lions were to win the whole thing this year, and that's, you got to really stretch your imagination. Well, then I don't care anymore. Then it's like, well, I know that's odd. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not.
I have a question. How about, I know the Vikings haven't had the history that Detroit has in terms of being as bad, but kind of the reputation for the Vikings has been always in it, in contention, always in the mix. They don't have too many seasons where they're just awful. I mean, there's a season or two there, but for the most part, I mean, they're literally the winningest franchise in football history without winning a big game. Would winning a big game change kind of that lovable, I don't know if you call it lovable loser, but lovable mediocrity from Minnesota Vikings?
Just can't grab the brass ring. I don't know. For me, it would. It changes for me. So I know I got the Dokays, and I know they think I'm insane, but that's just the way I feel about it. We'll take a pause. We come back. Lavelle Neal III will join us. We'll talk Twins baseball with him. And you remember, he's not Twins beat writer anymore. He's columnist extraordinaire. So, in other words, he now has permission to talk about all the sports.
Yes, a variety.
A wide variety. Much like Wide World of Sports was spanning the globe for the constant variety of sports, Lavelle Neal III does the same. Tell me, this is number 8 or 9 on the Billboard Hot 100?
This would be number 8.
Number 8.
It's one of Leo's jams. Leo loves the song.
Oh, then this is Imagine Dragons.
Yes.
And how about that? I knew. The only reason I knew is because you told me Leo likes Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, it's one of his favorite bands.
Do not know the name of the tune. You'll tell us?
Look, it's of course, but yeah, it's Radioactive.
Oh, this is Radioactive. Okay, yeah.
This would be a great name for a radio show.
Yeah. How about instead of radioactive, we call this radio inactive? Radio inactivity.
Radio idle.
The Common Man program. Lavelle Neal joins us next on The Fan.
KFAN.
Number 7, Billboard Hot 100, 10 years ago today. Tennessee artist and song, because I cannot identify either.
I know the song. I'd never heard of the artist. Something called Icona Pop or Icona Pop featuring Charlie XCX.
Boy,
it's called I Love It.
It's really good. What music's really gotten better over the years. I mean, you can go back and listen to something like In My Life by the Beatles, which the Eastridge Choir sang last night for the Academic Awards, or they could have sang this. Which do you think is better, In My Life or this?
I'd go with In My Life.
You would? See, I'd go with this. This is really special. Wow. It's really sad where we are. Where we are now is the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline. We welcome Lavelle Neal III into the conversation. Lavelle is Fish Wrap Factory West Side esteemed columnist. Thanks for joining us this afternoon on short notice, Lavelle. I do appreciate it.
No problem. You know, the funny thing is that I cannot remember any of like the recent like hit songs or the artists, but I can go back to 1983, my freshman year in college, and rattle off song after song after song, which was a hit then. So, I mean, forgetting names of songs, recent songs is weird. Maybe it must be something about getting old.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. But how often do you listen to music on average, a day or a week or a month? And then how much time do you spend going, I'm going to listen to music that is being released today? See, when I listen to music, I go back to what I vary a little bit. I'll go deep cuts of artists I've known before. I'll dabble in a little jazz sometimes, maybe a little country from my era when it was really more country crossover. But I don't listen to anything that's been recorded past 1990. Do you?
I mean, you got a good point there. I mean, most of the music I listen to now is the bumper music coming in and out of breaking this radio station.
Yeah.
You know? I have the R&B station on my XM Satellite account that I'll switch on and listen to, you know, once in a while. But most of the time, I'm listening to talk news or talk sports, you know, and just trying to keep up with what you guys are doing on the flamethrower here, and then mixing some other stations as well. But I would say I listen to music about 10% of the time now.
Your favorite couple of artists, like if you're saying I really want to listen to some music, I'm maybe driving in the car for an hour, going to sit at home, like who are your favorite artists? A couple, two or three of them.
It'd be Earth, Wind and Fire. It'd be Prince. It'd be Michael Jackson.
Okay.
The Spinners, things like that. Yeah. So that would pretty much be it.
Yeah, well, ain't nothing wrong with that lineup. That's a Mount Rushmore, that era of music. It's pretty good stuff. All right, now let me ask you something. I emailed you or texted you this morning because there was a story about the dreaded New York Yankees, the hated Yankees, cheating not once but twice. The pitcher got tossed out. We'll talk about that. A very similar situation happened against the Twins where he wasn't tossed out. And I think the manager of the Twins got tossed out. So they didn't toss out the pitcher, they tossed out the manager. And then not only did the pitcher get tossed yesterday, Aaron Judge apparently looked into his dugout. Then he looked back at the pitcher. Next pitch, he hits a home run. He says he was accused of, the Yankees are stealing signs and they're doing it illegally. And he looked in to get a sign. He says, no. They were still chirping in the dugout over an argument from earlier. And I was just trying to find out who's distracting me in my at-bat, which I don't know if you believe that. I don't know. And that's why I texted you. How could looking in a dugout be cheating?
It's not cheating, Common. That's the problem with this whole uproar, is that as long as electronics or a trash can is not involved, it's not cheating. People overreact because it's the Yankees. Everybody thinks they're up to some diabolical scheme half the time in order to get an unfair edge or an advantage on the field. Last year, when the pitch com device started, I was on the field talking to a former Twins pitcher who was with another team. I said, "Are you using pitch com yet?" He said, "Not yet, but I'm going to start using it before we go to New York because I don't trust the Yankees." You know,
right.
So it's just that belief out there that the Yankees are diabolical. You know, but growing up in Chicago, the White Sox teams of the 70s and 80s had a guy named Joe Nosick. Yep. And Nosick was known as the great sign stealer of all time. And if you were able to decipher the signs that the third base coach is giving, or if the pitcher is tipping his pitches, which the Blue Jays pitcher admitted to after the game,
yes,
that he may have been tipping his pitches, then it's not cheating. And if someone in the dugout is got a whistle, or he's got a thumbs up, thumbs down to where their pitch is going to be a curveball or a fastball, and Judge is peeking there, that's fair game. That's fair game. So kvetching over Judge being a cheater in this particular instance is off base and misguided, and a lot of it is because people just don't like the Yankees.
What do you make of the Yankees? Is it pronounced German, or is it German, or German? What now? Again, we talked about against the Twins a few weeks back when the Twins faced the Yankees. He comes off after like the third inning. The umpire says, "You got some sticky stuff. Go wash it off." He comes back out for the next inning. He's still got some on him on his pinky finger. Still doesn't get tossed from the game. Rocco says, "I couldn't go back to that dugout and allow that to happen. I had to get tossed." He got tossed. Now the same German does the exact same thing last time, and this time he is tossed. What do you make of this? Do you think it's just what he says, rosin, or do you think he's got a illegal substance he's using to create better grip?
Well, there was something fishy there with Herman. I will tell you this, too. Apparently, someone on Twitter claimed it's the same umpiring crew as the one that worked the Twins game.
Right.
So maybe they've had it, with him and warning him. Because the first time he said, "Well, just wipe this off." But the evidence is still on his hand the second time they checked, and they let them in the game. So that's what led to Rocco blowing up. There's something fishy going on, but I will say this, because I will defend Max Scherzer a little bit. Because he got tossed. His argument is that the combination of sweat and rosin that's allowed, on the hand or the wrist area, creates this gook that could be mistaken for some sort of illegal substance, and he thinks that's why he got, tossed, and that's possibly why Herman is in trouble. But I want to get to the root of this comment: is that if pitchers weren't cheating before this umpires were checking hands, they wouldn't have to go checking pitchers' hands.
Right.
This all started because some jackass pitchers found some tacky, sticky substance to help their spin rates and help the movement on their pitches, and forced the league to make an adjustment and have to police this. I want my police officer not to be worried if I'm wearing a seatbelt. I want them to stop crime. I want the umpire to be able to judge the game, not have to walk over to a pitcher. Let me see your hand. Let me see your wrist. Take off your hat. Let me check your hair. This is ridiculous. Yeah. But some cheating pitchers in baseball started this crap. Guys like Lucas Giolito, who, Josh Donaldson had to dock the air on him. Look at your spin rates. All of a sudden you're using the sticky stuff. And now they banned it. Now you're spinning the ball as well. They forced Major League Baseball to have to police this issue, and I think it stinks. But that's where we're at, though. Well, and Herman needs to listen to what the umpires are saying.
Well, you can go even back to the thrilling days of yesteryear with, maybe the poster child, the most infamous doctrine of the baseball guy was Gaylord Perry, and used to be romanticized. It was like, well, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. If you could get away with it, it was almost as if you were idolized and pedestalized. Like, that Gaylord guy figures something out, whether it's he's got some Brill cream in his hair, a little dabble dewy, or he's got Vaseline on the bill of his cap. And what he would do, if you remember this, he would, as he's standing there getting ready to pitch, he would use his pitching and he would touch like 13, 14 different places on his uniform, on his hat. So you never knew what he was doing. And I don't even know if they were dealing out punishments back then, but it used to be romanticized.
I covered Twins pitchers who would put some pine tar under the bill of their cap, and then when they would reach up to adjust the bill of their cap, they would just grab a little pine tar and use it for extra little grip on the ball on the baseball. And actually, in the cold weather months, teams rather would look the other way because they didn't want the cold weather and balls slipping out of hands and hitting bad batters in the head. So
sure.
They kind of looked the other way. But you want to talk about going back to the days of yesteryear. Don't forget the Twins played a part in this when Nico got tossed for having an emery board in his back pocket. I just happened to smoke a cigar last week with the great Tim Cheetah. And Cheetah, talked about that story because he was part of the umpiring crew that day that went out to talk to Nico. And they're like, look, I got to check you. And Nico's like, what are you talking about? And so empty your pockets. He's like, oh, here, no. There's a picture of me and my kid. So he was showing a picture of him and his kid that he keeps in his back pocket. Meanwhile, with the other hand, he's trying to get the emery board off his finger and then pull out the emery board and kind of dispose of it. And it just so happens that Steve Perlomo was also in that umpiring crew and saw the emery board come out of his back pocket and went, what is this here, Mr. Negro? And the rest was history. So it was it's funny when a pitcher tries to cheat, though. It seems like it's funnier than when a hitter is corking his bat or trying to go the other way. Yep.
Yeah, that's the way. So it used to be kind of accepted. It was kind of fun, and now it's a dastardly act. The Twins win last night, and I talked about this earlier. That's my favorite win of the season so far because you've got a guy that starting for the Twins that was not in the starting rotation when the season began. He's there because of an injury. He's a quality kid. He's pitched with the big league club before, but he didn't make the big club. He's facing one of the best pitchers in the league today in Clayton Kershaw at Los Angeles, where we've had all sorts of trouble winning. And he outduels Kershaw. And this Twins team, gritty. They work for runs. They squeeze bunt to run in. A couple of stolen bases for Byron. They manufactured runs. Had a great pitching performance. I really thought last night's win was a signature win.
I thought so too. Good points all around. The fact that Byron Buxton got on base and tried to steal bases. Number one, he's walking more, so he's getting to first base. And now once he's at first, he's trying to put his legs into play. I will also say this too, Common. That catcher from the Dodgers must be terrible, or Kershaw must be slow to the plate for the Twins to be as aggressive on the base pass as they were. But the squeeze play, I was like, oh my God, talk about throwback baseball there. But I think Rocco has decided he's got to shake some things up here to score some runs, to try to get the offense going. Now, some guys are starting to heat up at the plate a little bit. Buxton's got to get going. Correa definitely has to get going. Kirilloff has been huge since he came up. Larnach had the huge 3-run homer on Monday to help them come back from a deficit. So there's some things happening offensively with this team that, if it's sustained, will be a really good reflection, I know. But I don't mind squeezing that guy in once in a while. I mean, when you can only load the bases so many times and not drive in any runs before the manager's going to say, I got to try to make some things happen.
Yeah, it's sort of old school baseball, as we all know, baseball over the past, however many years sort of came down to either strike out or hit a home run. And now with some of the rule changes with pitch clock and the bases being a little bit larger. And after the third time to first base, if you don't pick them off, the guy gets to move. We've eliminated the defensive shifts. We're getting back to a little bit more small ball type of stuff, what you grew up with and I grew up with, when there's nothing wrong with hitting a few home runs, but I like when you manufacture runs. It's more exciting to me to see a double off the wall and then it sacrifice a guy over and steal a base here and there. And with the shorter games, I think the rule changes for the most part have worked in favor of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan. The pitch clock has been wonderful for a beat writer. It's a salvation.
Yeah.
The Cubs were in town last weekend. I was talking to the beat writers for the Cubs, and they're like, we can now schedule flights out of Minneapolis for 7 o'clock departures and have more confidence that we're going to make them in time now that the pitch clock has made these games faster. Back in the day, they would have to spend another day in a hotel in Minneapolis and fly back the next morning, and that would be another $100, $200 that the company would have to pay for travel. So it's helping many people in different ways, man. I'm sad that they had to legislate the shift, but I'm glad that it's happened. You can't stack the box against these guys now, like they were, in recent years, and the bigger bases. And the encouragement to running. I mean, the Pirates are going to steal over 200 bases this year, which is incredible, But it's a funner brand of baseball. There's action. Baseball's achieved what they sought to achieve out of these changes, is to get more action on the field. And stealing bases, squeeze plays, being able to go to first and third on a ball hit to the right side of the infield, out through the right side of the infield. There's more action, man, and that's good for baseball. You
wrote a piece about a week or so ago, and your esteemed colleague Jim Souhan seconded the notion that the Twins need to get Byron Buxton back out on the field to be the best team that the Twins can. And I took the other side of that from the standpoint, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Taylor guy, while I guess if you want to say he's not as good as Byron Buxton is in the field, he's pretty close. He's a 2-time Gold Glove winner as well. His offense has been better than expected. And if you can keep Buxton healthy and playing more games, he's only missed, I think, 3 games this year, and those were just load management games that had nothing to do with injury. And if he is starting to hit now he's struggled for most of the year, keeping him healthy and at least having him hitting, I think, is better than taking that. He's just not been able to prove he can stay healthy in the field. And no less than Carlos Correa, the piece was in your newspaper about a week ago. Correa says he sat in the offseason with Byron and convinced him to be a DH. So even Correa, no less an expert than Carlos Correa, thinks, at least for the time being, they're better off with him as a DH. Your thoughts?
Well, here's my thing about this. Buxton's first injury last season stemmed from sliding into a base in Boston. Okay? He, just by stepping on the field, he's at risk of getting injured. He can jam his knee, slide into a base. He can break a finger diving for a bag. He can get hit in the hand with a pitch or foul a ball off his ankle and get injured that way. There's still a risk involved when he steps on the baseball field. That's just unavoidable. Two, he's clogging up the DH spot. It'd be better off. I think the offense would be better off if they can rotate guys through that DH spot and put Buxton in center and have a tremendous defense. And also use to give guys a half break. Maybe there's a day Correa needs a DH and have Farmer play short. Maybe there's a day that Kirilloff's a DH and Gallo to play first. Once Kepler gets back, after this hamstring strain, there's going to be a little bit of a logjam there for at bats, and really things going to really come to a head here if Royce Lewis is called up in June 1st, which would be the earliest he can join the team. And once Lewis gets here, he's probably going to play third. So yeah, just having that DH spot locked in with one guy who could still get hurt being the DH once he steps on the field. To me, it's not allowing the Twins to have their best team on the field. So, but like I said, the Lewis thing's going to be interesting. He played his first game for AAA yesterday. He went 3 for 5 with a homer and 4 RBIs and a stolen base. So he's eager to get back to the show, man. So sometimes other injuries happen, and so these moves kind of work on their own. But I just think the Twins are better off over the long haul if you put Buxton in the center field. If the weather's warm now, he doesn't have to do it all the time. He could still DH twice a week if you want, and you can manage his load that way by giving him like partial breaks by using him at DH. But I think just having that spot available for other players to be rotated in and out, it allows the Twins offense to be all it can be.
Speaking of Buxton and the possibility of being injured, running the bases or sliding into base, tell me you didn't hold your breath for a second when last night, when he slid into first base after he hit that chopper to the first baseman who tossed it over to Kershaw, a heads-up play by Buxton. I think he needed to slide to be safe. He looked like he was getting up slowly, and for a second there I thought maybe he punctured his spleen or something like that. Did you hold your breath? I held my breath for a second because it looked like he had a grimace on his face, and I thought, no, he's injured himself, but he did get back up. Did you hold your breath momentarily?
I didn't hold it as long as I did during the first series, the first homestand of the year, when Buxton got caught up and collided with the shortstop in between the second and third, and basically got flipped over upside down and all around. And he needed a couple moments to kind of recalibrate himself before he got up off the ground. I thought he was hurt then. We were all waiting for the worst possible case being announced afterwards, but he was fine from that. So that was the time I was like, oh no, here comes another Buxton injury, and Twins fans are going to be apoplectic. But it has not happened. So knock on wood, things are working out right. It's working out okay with Buxton the DH. But to me, it's time for him to be Buxton the outfielder too. I
think over the years, before, I talk about this often. Like before every season, the build up to every season, Twins, Gophers, Wild, Lynx, the Loons. Wolves, Vikings, everything. There's always a buildup where you start to feel really good about where the team is headed, and then oftentimes, as we know, it goes off the rails. I know you were very high on this team to start the season. I think you predicted 91 wins. Do you feel the same way about this team, that they're a 91 win type club? And take it even a step further, do you think this team might be different than any of the other teams we've seen the past 10, 15 years, where there have been times where you go, even last year, it's a pretty good club, and then things go south? What do you think how do you project this team the rest of the year?
Yeah, I'm sticking with 90-91 wins. I came out of spring training really liking the pitching staff, and that includes the bullpen. I know some fans are whining about the bullpen and guys struggling, but, you're always going to have a couple of guys going haywire, too. Giovanni Moran needs to pick it up, but he's the only lefty that they have, so they've got to keep him around to see if he can match up well with guys. But I like the rotation at the start. They had some depth. That depth is being used right now in Louis Varland and Bailey Ober. So you got to cross your fingers that they don't have any more pitching injuries, or you're going to see Simeon Woods Richardson or maybe Aaron Sanchez, get in the mix here. But I thought that they would pitch. I thought they'd play defense. The defense hasn't been as strong as I thought it was going to be, because there's been a couple really weird innings where they just forgot how to play defense, but it's been okay. It's been steady. It hasn't been spectacular. It's been steady. I thought the offense was going to be the issue. This team doesn't have a leadoff hitter, and it doesn't have a cleanup hitter. That's two bad spots to not have someone in. So they've had to hodgepodge their way. Rocco wants to keep Buxton in the cleanup spot. He thinks that's the best spot for him, and it's best for the lineup. So he can masquerade as a cleanup guy. They still don't really have a leadoff hitter. I mean, Joey Gallo leading off is just weird. Although he can draw a few walks here and there, but he's also going to strike out as well. He's feast or famine guy. I just don't know if having a feast or famine guy is a great way to lead off your lineup.
I don't like it either. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? It's right now. It's the best that Rocco could do up there. So it'll be interesting if Royce Lewis arrives. Will they bat Lewis lead off? Maybe we'll see. But so I thought the offense was going to be a little bit hard to come by. It's been worse than I thought, but recently it's been better. So we'll see if they're warming up with the weather and if they can sustain a little offense here. But I still think because of that starting rotation, and then you have two relievers who I trust in Lopez and Joan Duran for the 8th and 9th inning, I think they're going to win 90 games.
Always good to have you on, Grum. You're always welcome here. We'll look for your stuff in the Fish Wrap Factory West Side soon. Thanks, Lavelle Neal III. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tommy.
You bet. Lavelle Neal III, Fish Wrap Factory West Side.
Quickly, breaking Vikings news. The Vikings have signed number 23 overall pick, wide receiver Jordan Addison, according to Tom Pelissero.
We're coming. We're coming. Oh, this is number 6.
You know this one.
Yeah, this is hold on. Macklemore, right?
That's right. Macklemore and Ryan Lewis.
My pocket.
Thrift shop.
You love this, don't you?
It's okay.
That's all right. We'll break. We'll come back. The legendary one Mark Rosen joins us next. You're on the Grum.
Ice on the fringe is so damn.